I want to thank you all for being here. And I especially want to thank my friend, truly friend, Pedram Navid, for coming. Those of you who follow him online know Pedram well, and is one of the most thoughtful and interesting people in data. And I'm really glad he agreed to be here with us. So thank you, Pedram.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's been a long time
Since what? Since you
since I
did a talk at a pizzeria?
Yes, since I've seen people. For those of you who don't know, I had 9-month-old twins 9 months ago, and
All
so
right.
I have not gone outside.
That's right.
Yeah,
Thank you all for giving Pedram an excuse to come out today.
that's been great.
Um, cool. Well, I want to get started. Pedram, give us a brief background on you. Why are you here? How did you get into this racket of data, and what do you do?
How do I sell my snake oil? Long time ago, I used to actually do data. I was a data engineer. I was a data scientist before that. I used all kinds of tools that were awful. And when I saw the light somewhere over the distance and I had to stop using Hadoop, this thing called the modern data stack came out. It's dead now.
I remember that.
I heard
yeah.
it's dead, but what it,
about that.
we can talk about that later. But it changed the way I work, and it like really changed the way I think about data. That led me to working at data companies because I love data, and it ended up into a DevRel role. I worked as like a DevRel and data person at High Touch. I was one of the early employees there. Spent a year and a half there. Did consulting for a little while, which meant really just like bird watching, which was a great break from the startup life. I recommend it to everybody. And then I ended up at Dagster. Pete, the founder of Dagster, not the founder, CEO of Dagster, asked me to join, and I said no because bird watching is so much better than working, as we all know. But then I got bored of watching birds over and over again, and so I decided to join. So now I run marketing and DevRel and data at Dagster.
Cool. You worked at a bank earlier in your career.
I left that out, but yes.
I have a thesis about banks that they were the first people to realize that they were like data companies. And this goes back like centuries. Like I read this book recently that was talking about like Dutch trading firms or Dutch like maritime shipping firms like buying like prop data about like cargo loads. Did you find the bank to be particularly data driven? Do you think that's like the ideal we're all trying to aspire to?
I don't know if it's the ideal world we want to aspire to, but it is what they aspire to for sure. When we were at a bank and we looked at our competition, it was not other banks, it was Apple. Like we knew that like Apple was the company we were going to lose to if anything happened.
Why is that true? Well, that's not intuitive to me.
Apple's a technology company that can take over banking easily if they do it well. They did it with Apple Wallet already, right? Like if they chose to go into banking, they would crush the experience of any other bank. And so we saw that as the like biggest threat to us. It wasn't our second biggest competitor. It wasn't American banks when I was in Canada. It was companies like Apple deciding to enter the banking sphere and taking away capital from them.
Interesting. You said something in your intro that you love data. I love data. A lot of people here, I assume, are here because of that. What is it for you, or what is it do you think about people generally that like love data? Like it's a kind of, if you kind of step back, it's kind of a funny thing to like love in a generic sense, but a lot of us do. What is it do you think that's so like interesting about it?
It's not that I love data. You're right. I actually love solving problems, and data is the path towards solving really complex problems. And I learned that through my work at a bank. I was not a data person by trade, but we had specific problems we wanted to solve. We had a bunch of numbers in a PowerPoint slide, and we could not understand change over time in a PowerPoint slide, as you might know, like not a great graphic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we moved to Excel. And that was like a big thing for us to move from PowerPoint to Excel to like show trend. And like that helped us solve data, like business problems through data. And so for me, it's always been about what are the actual changes you can impact through data. It was never like this Kaggle thing of like optimize this problem to like some nth degree and get the most precision out of it. That was like never appealing to me. I know there's people who like find that kind of exercise appealing, but for me, it was always about like, how do I enact change? And how do I do that by showing proof of what I think will happen if we do that?
I want to, that's a great incidental segue to you wrote a blog post in the last couple of weeks that I really loved. And I think it was titled, It's Not Enough to Be Right.
Yeah.
About this kind of thing of, I think a lot of data people kind of focus on like, am I getting the right answer? Do I have the right insight? But kind of lose the thread on like, does it matter? Is it
Right.
actually happening? I want, tell me, give everyone here who hasn't like read this a couple of times like I have, just a brief synopsis of sort of the take you were putting forward there.
Yeah, it was 100% not related to anything that happened in real life. Just a thought I
Is it like
had.
a subtweet of
No,
some
definitely
people at
not.
work?
No person was involved in my
So some
brain.
of my blog posts are, if you people who I work with read them, they're like, okay, this is about me. Yeah.
I feel like every time I post a blog post, someone says, "Is this about me?" And I always have to remind them it's about everybody, uh, and not you. So this post was really like a reaction to a pattern I've seen in data people and software engineers too. Things suffer from this mentality of uh, the success of being right is really valuable early in your career. That's why you're hired. Like to be able to correctly answer some problem, right? And that can become really addicting for some people. Some people love being right. And it's fine early in your career to just have that. But as you grow in your career and as the business's needs grow and like the expectations of you grow, they no longer expect you to be just right. Like that's easy to do. Maybe not easy, but it's like a lot of people can be right. In fact, if I ask this room about a business problem that I have, I'm sure 10 of you would probably tell me what the answer is correctly. The really, really hard problem is going and doing something about it. And that means talking to people, convincing people who don't believe you that you're actually right and that's the right thing to do. It's figuring out priorities and how to make sure your thing is the priority of other people and other teams who don't really care about the problem you're having because you think it's the right thing for the business. And so the whole post is about like being right. Great, congratulations, I'm proud of you, but like go and do something about it. It's all the hard things you have to do, like networking and getting alignment and all these things. I think sometimes you might look down upon if you're very focused on
Sounds
being
like
right.
politics.
People call it politics. Anything you don't like to do is politics. Um, it's the job. Also, like politics, yeah, it kind of is politics, but like that's the job. The job isn't to be right. The job is to enact change. And that's how you grow your career. That's how you make effects on the business. And that's how I think you become successful.
So I want to break this down a little bit because I think part of the reason this post really resonated with me is that it connected with like a lot of the times earlier in my career where I was frustrated about like being right, but
Yeah.
feeling like this sort of fecklessness. Um, as a data person, as a data practitioner, either like IC or like someone who's running a data team, what are the things people can actually do to like potentiate that? Like
Yeah.
you mentioned like going and talking to people and do that, but like what do you think are the things people are missing or should be spending more time on?
Figure out who your stakeholders are. I mean, that's step one. And it's hard if you are a stake, everyone's your stakeholder. Product, sales, marketing, they all want something from you and they're all very annoying. I get that. But like finding an ally somewhere in that midst, there usually are people who like want the same things as you. They want to make change, they want to improve something, and they think it's for the good of the company. If those things are true, if you can find one person and just like align yourself with them and say, like, the two of us, we're going to figure out how to do this thing. It doesn't have to be perfect, but like it has to start from a place where you're both ready to experiment, find a way to improve some process you want to improve, figure out who the stakeholders are, and like plan your attack. It's not just about the data, but they will want to see data. So think in their eyes, like when I show them this, what are the questions? What are the questions they're going to ask? What are the objections they're going to raise? How are they going to shut this down? And be prepared for all that, and then just work through it. Like there's no secret. There's no, I think, shortcut. It's about interpersonal skills. It's about finding the right person, and it's working their way up. I think a lot of it depends on the company and the culture. I think like the last line I wrote, my blog post was like, if your culture sucks, like none of this post applies to you. You probably need therapy more than you need like my help. Um, you can't fix bad culture. You can't fix culture you're not aligned with. Culture isn't always bad. It just might be the right fit for you. But if you and the CEO are aligned, like I think you guys can accomplish a lot of things together.
As a CEO, I love when I'm aligned. Um, how do you how do you assess culture ex ante? Like if you're interviewing for a data role somewhere, or you're even like in a job, like how do you gauge that? Like what are the signs that like your the culture is going to actually like lend itself to you as a data person actually being effective versus frustrated?
It's tough. I think early in my career, I focused on like a title that I really wanted. And then I focused on like a company I wanted to work for. And only now I focus on the people I want to work with. So culture is people, it's people you work with. It comes from the CEO, comes from top down. And so eh, it's going to be, it depends on the company. At a startup, you might be able to say, I want to talk to the founder and just like get a sense of like what they really care about and how they feel about, you know, different opinions and how they like solicit that and what's important to them as a company. And like that will help you gauge it. I think the truth is it's experience and time. I think if you're early in your career, you're going to have to go through a lot of suffering and pain and wrong fits to figure out what's right. I didn't know what I liked until I saw what I didn't like. And I just kept saying, oh, less of that, please, and more of that. I don't like it when the CEO yells at me all the time. I want a different kind of
What?
CEO. Yeah, some people don't like
Shit.
that. But others might like it. I think there's value in sometimes being yelled at. But not all the time. But every now and then, I do think
I only employ masochists.
no. It's important to get passion. I think out of a CEO. The worst thing in the world is a CEO who doesn't care about anything. I think that's like you're never going to succeed. But I think passion's great, and I love working with Barry.
Um, okay, so an interesting thing I've been thinking a lot about is a lot of what we were just talking about had nothing to do with like writing SQL or remembering the pandas syntax or like things that AI is getting better at and good at. And I think that's actually very like heartening to me as a data person who like cares about data people. Like so many of the things that like are evidently very important to actually being successful in data aren't things that AI is obviously going to like wipe out. But I do think it's a thing, and there's no shortage of blog posts about like agents taking over workflows for people and taking jobs. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, is AI going to take all of our jobs, the data jobs?
Uh, not AI will not take the jobs we don't want to do, which is alignment with stakeholders. Unfortunately, that's always going to be something we have to figure out. It might take the fun jobs away, like writing SQL and like doing pivot
That's the
tables.
heart of it for you.
Yeah, like the stuff I really enjoy, they might take it away. Or another
Sam Altman stealing.
charitable interpretation is that they might automate it so you don't have to do it all the time. You can still open Excel, no one's going to stop you. I think it's totally fine. AI, I think, augments a lot of the drudgery out of life. And like, that's great. I don't want to write a SQL statement that selects, 37 columns on my own. Let AI do that for me, right? Like, I don't want to repeat the same thing I've had to do over and over again. But what I want, like, I don't know if AI is going to find insights. And if you ever work with a stakeholder who's like, look at this data and find some insights, like that's never a thing that can ever happen, right? Like that's a conversation about like, well, what problems are you having in your business? Like, what are the things that keep you up at night? Let's talk about those. What are the processes that are involved in generating this data? That's the really hard work of being a good data person. And like the AI is not going to figure that one out.
I I mean, I agree. And I think you see this distinction of people who have spent a lot of time in the space versus people who are coming in. Like, there's no shortage of startups that are selling like AI data scientists. I was like, do you understand what like a good data scientist does? It's like, is it just writing Python? But sometimes I worry that like I'm too close to it to really see it well. Like, are there parts of our jobs as data practitioners that like people should be sort of like questioning? Is this actually a thing I should be like? Like, do you think this is going to change how we see our roles?
I hope so. I'd love to take less stakeholder requests for stupid questions every day. Like if for example, head of product wants to know how many users we have and he DMs me every time, like I would love for him to DM the AI instead. Like that's great. Go do that. I'm sure
Pedram bot.
Pedram bot, yeah.
Yeah.
Train it on all my snarky questions and answers, and like that's totally fine. But like
Well, what are you going to do then?
oversee the AI and make sure everyone's happy about them. Manage a team.
Supervise. Yeah. You're like the guy standing at the construction site when everyone's digging, and you're just like, yeah,
Work harder.
smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's the dream. I don't think that'll happen. Uh, Somebody's got to like figure out how we're going to get new data sets into the database at the end of the day. Like businesses change, they evolve, the needs change, priorities change. Prioritization is always a problem. Like if all you do is work that can be automated away by an AI, I don't think you're delivering that much value, unfortunately. Hopefully, I don't think any of you are. Like, I'm pretty sure the work you do is more than just writing code. The problem is writing code is sometimes fun. And I don't want AI to take away the fun stuff. I want it to take away the boring stuff. But I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, I wonder about this sometimes because there's things that humans do for fun that AI can do better, but we still do it. Like chess has been like a solved
Yeah.
AI problem for a long time, but a lot of people still play, more people than ever still play chess. And so I wonder sometimes about like how much is it true that if an AI could do something better, humans just don't do it anymore versus like people still enjoy doing certain things. So we're just going to keep
And
doing
there's
it.
value in doing the thing. That sometimes it's not the result. Like sometimes the value in doing an analysis is not the number at the end. It's understanding the process and digging in and knowing where the data is and how it's generated and all the warts that come with it. Because as you do that, you're like, oh, this doesn't make sense. And then you talk to someone and you say, hey, how come this field that's supposed to be a number has a letter in it? Right. And you uncover, oh, it's manually entered and it like relates to some problem happening from 4 years ago. AI is not going to ask those questions. So I think there's still value in digging in and being mindful of the data generation process and all the downstream effects of that. I think AI really like benefits you well when it's a known problem that you want to solve over and over again. Let's just throw AI at it and like get that answer out of the way. But novel, interesting problems still occur, I think, in businesses, and those are still great places for you to invest.
I haven't thought about it that way before, but I think this is kind of how I think about writing. It's like AI can write, yes, write a blog post.
Yeah.
It can write a blog post, but like I find a lot of the utility of writing, or not forget about blog posts, like write this email. But I find a lot of the utility of writing is like thinking.
Yeah.
It's like the old quote, if you're thinking without writing, you only think you're thinking.
Yep.
And so I haven't thought about that way, but I think it's true. It's like, yeah, it's like doing the analysis steps isn't just like about writing the sequel. It's like you're spending time actually like meditating on the like
And that's the hard
the
part.
thing.
The hard
Yeah.
part of writing isn't putting like finding a word to and on the keyboard and being like hello. Like that's not hard. Anyone can do that. The hard part of writing is figuring out the coherent story you want to tell and writing it and being like, oh, this sucks, and going back and editing it and trying to figure out what the right message is and thinking about it and sitting on it and going, oh, this still sucks, and sending it to a friend saying, Barry, how can I improve my blog post? And he says, rewrite it. This is all garbage. Like that's the process of writing that's really difficult. And that's the process that's really useful.
I'll just set up a bot that you can email and it'll automatically reply.
It
like,
sucks.
Write this sucks. Yeah. Let's just automate this process.
Yes.
It's good. Um, cool. I want to talk a little bit about the data stack. We'll do a little tour through it, like what's
Sure.
changing. I think it's a kind of hot topic of conversation. You joked earlier about things being dead. What's on the data death watch right now? What's the next thing to be dead that probably isn't actually dead?
Uh, I thought everything died.
Yeah, dashboards died.
Dashboards are dead.
Modern
Orchestration
data stack
dead.
is dead.
Modern data stack is dead. Data
warehouses are definitely dead.
they're
Yeah, that's
definitely
right.
dead.
Who would be doing that anymore?
What's left? Analytics engineering, I know, is dead.
Analytics engineering is dead. Yeah.
That one's dead. DBT
Data science is dead. Yeah.
That died a long time ago.
Yeah.
What's left?
AI.
AI is all that's left. Yes. And that one's dead too, by the way. Hot take. I think you're not a real system, you're not a real company until you've been declared dead. Really. Like if you haven't been declared dead, you're probably like still like early
Has
stage.
Dagster been declared dead yet?
Oh yeah, orchestration's dead.
Orchestration's dead.
It's dead.
Is it actually dead?
We still have customers, so no. We're waiting.
Do you think of Dagster as just orchestration? Why'd you join Dagster? Just actually tell me
Yeah,
that.
great question.
I never got to ask you this
That's
actually.
a good question. My early career was in Airflow, and I hated it so much. And the founder of Dagster, Nick Schrock, was on a podcast talking about why he's going to go and solve it with Dagster. And this was like 4 or 5 years ago. And I tried it out and it sucked. But the vision was so good that I was like, I like this product. The docs were awful. It didn't work. I was like lost and confused. And after I joined Dagster, I actually found my Reddit post and my Slack message in the Dagster community channel about how like I like what you're doing, but here's all the things that are wrong with it. Uh, and I hope to one day be able to contribute to Dagster. That was my message to them. And that
It's
was
a
like,
tip for how to get a job, everyone.
yeah.
Find a product that sucks and complain about it.
But be like very like exact about why it sucks. That's really important, I think. And I left that thread alone. I didn't really talk to them for a long time until I went to consulting. And then Nick Schrock asked me to help consult with him on some product and marketing features. And uh, best way to like join a company is to consult with them because you get to know the people and you get to know if you like them. And the people at Dax have been great. I obviously love the product. I like where it's going. It's evolved a lot more from where it was a long time ago.
What does it evolve to? Because my initial conception of it was like Airflow, but like cooler and
Yeah,
better. And Nick's working on it. Uh,
exactly. All great things. And that's
all
what
great
sold
things.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. But what is it now?
We're moving towards this conception of like the framework for your data platform. So everyone has a data platform, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not. And you can design one by choice and you can be very like selective about how you build it and very thoughtful. Or often the case is you kind of end up with a data platform and you're not sure why or how or where it is even and how anything works. And so our approach has been like, let's help you understand that, right? Orchestration is really the start of all that. Like, you obviously have to move things around and do things, but observability, data quality, data catalog, anything you care about really within the data platform space, we want to build towards.
Okay. I got a couple last things, some lightning stuff, and then we'll open it up to the group, and then we'll do pizza. Which is the main event. Okay. Data lakes finally are becoming a thing. Do you think 5 years from now, or let's even closer, 3 years from now, people are doing more or less? I don't know the right way to ask this actually. People are mostly still querying through warehouses, or warehouses become more commoditized?
Our data warehouse is dead, is
Our data warehouses,
what you're
yeah,
asking.
that's
Yes.
right.
I really like a data warehouse because it's easy and convenient and it's not a lot of work, right? Like you just throw the data in there, you don't think about it. You can insert, you can append, it just works. The big computer in the cloud, you don't have to think about it. And magically, like the numbers come out. Like
But they have like 75% product margin.
my time is
Every dollar you pay a data warehouse, they 25 cents goes to the actual storage and compute for your query.
my time is expensive. Like I'm not a cheap man to hire. So
Evidently.
it's okay. I think it's fine. I think a data warehouse is fine. I think once you hit a certain level of scale, you're going to want probably to move to a data lake for some workloads. What ends up happening at every big company is you have it all. You have a data warehouse, you have a data lake, you have two, three, four cloud vendors somehow. Like this is just stuff that
So
happens.
you're taking the under on data lake.
I am bullish on data lakes, but it's not the death of data warehouses.
All right.
It's we're going to just have more of everything.
Okay, let's talk about. I want to go back to this AI thing briefly. I think a thing a lot of people say, or I think it feels relatively obvious now, is like per capita, you're going to have less people in support roles for a lot of types of products, like customer support roles, than you do today, because AI is going to be able to do a lot of those things. What's your bet for data roles? Do you think we're going to have more or less data roles per capita?
So on the customer side, I think it changes the role. So yes, there will be less, but those that remain will be more interesting. You're going to be comped on expansion, not on number of tickets, right? Like that's where customer success is really moving and it has been moving for a long time. On data, like probably a similar vibe. If your entire job is to process a request every single day and you get 1,000 requests all the time, that's probably a great job for AI. If you are aligned with business and like the best way to keep your job is to have the people you report into being like, I love working with Pedram. Like, don't get rid of him. And that's how I think about all the stakeholders I have at my company. It's like, I don't wonder what's the value of DevRel? What's the point of data teams? I just make sure that the people who get the things I deliver to them are so happy with me. No one would even think about asking that stupid question. And like,
Well, this is a segue into my favorite question, which is there a way to measure data team ROI? Is that a thing?
No.
No, just don't do it.
Data team ROI. So segue maybe. I am now in marketing somehow,
That's right. Yeah,
and
your life after data.
I my life
You made
after-
it out.
I made it out, but the data team still reports into me, which is great because now I can make myself look really good. Um, I always wondered what the value of data was as a data person. I never wondered that question as a marketing person. And so, what is the ROI? It's not having a marketing person wonder, where are my leads? Where's my pipeline coming from? How am I doing today? Like, do I understand my business? Can I forecast? There's no ROI number I can attach to that. But if you don't have that, your business fails. So the ROI is success of your company. And you can prove that by having people who love working with you and who are very aligned with like your success. So if you're the data team, align yourself with the stakeholder and say, like, we're going to make that person able to answer the questions they have and help them understand their business, and then problem solved.
Problem solved. All right, we'll open up to a couple audience questions. Do we have a free mic, a loose mic? Ashley has a loose mic.
We're recording, so if you can ask the question into the mic, that would be helpful. So,
All right, who has a question? Slater promised he would ask the first question.
This is a long, short question going back to the AI conversation. If you compare data teams today versus data teams 2 or 3 years from now, what's one thing that people are spending a lot of time on today that you're pretty sure we'll spend almost no time on in the future? And what's one thing you think we're spending a lot of time on today that we'll still spend a lot of time on in the future, or even more if you want?
Less time documenting, I would hope. That seems like a solved problem today.
Didn't you get your job by documenting things, Pedram?
Bad news for me. Yes, but hopefully I'll have more time to do other things that are high value. I think it's super easy to throw AI at a schema and say, document this. And you just like the human in the loop and verify it's right and like give it context. Easy solve problem today. Things that we spend a lot of time doing and will always spend time doing is stakeholder alignment, saying no all the time. Oh, here's my favorite question. Can you tell me why you want to know this? And then no response for 3 weeks.
That feels like something an AI could do.
That's true.
Not get a reply for 3 weeks. I think a lot about the kind of mundane firefighting around like data pipelines breaking. I think a lot of that could be like reasonably self-healing. And I think about the best interactions I have with our own data team, where I'm asking like thoughtful, deeper questions and like having a conversation that's informed by them, like understanding the parts of the business. And I don't know. I have trouble seeing AI doing that anytime soon in a way that I can actually like get value from or trust. I think an underappreciated thing. Like, so we're in San Francisco, right? So any moment now, there'll be a Waymo that drives past. Right? Yeah. Yeah. We just missed one. Yeah. Right. So Waymo, I find self-driving cars really interesting because they're obviously the best driver ever. Like I assume a lot of people here have driven a Waymo. Like I don't feel as safe in any vehicle as I do with a Waymo, including ones I'm driving. Like I trust Waymo more than I trust myself. But Waymo and self-driving cars still live in this like regulatory purgatory while we give like eager, distractible, hormonal 16-year-olds driver's licenses every day. And it's a very funny thing. And I think at the bottom, it's because we know what to do with the 16-year-old who hits and kills someone. We like, I don't know, send them to juvie or like, I don't know, some awful part of our judicial system deals with them. And like, we don't know what to do with the car. Like, we're like, I don't know, do we like go arrest someone at Google? Like, it's hard to know what to do with that. And I kind of think it's the same with certain AI tasks where it's like, who do we punish? Like, if the number is wrong or the insight is wrong or we make the wrong decision based on this thing the AI told us, like, who do we punish? I think there's like an underappreciated psychological bit of that where like there's certain tasks that you need someone to blame, which is kind of a weird way to say it, but I think it's kind of true. And I think our society is going to have to figure out how to like metabolize that dynamic over the next like decade. Uh,
I agree. And that goes to even like having a vendor solve a problem. One of the greatest benefits of a vendor is you have like a neck to choke when something goes wrong.
yeah, totally.
And that's why we pick.
I think about this with AI support. So like a really hot thing right now is like, don't hire a support team. There's like AI help desk. And it's like, what if the help desk bot gives someone the wrong answer or is rude to them?
Air Canada did that, and they had to like accept whatever deal they give to some random
I saw
person.
that. I don't know. I think there's a lot to figure out here. Some of this stuff's going to work, some of it's not. Okay, next question. Any other questions? Yeah.
Great panel. Well, you mentioned earlier that, like, you think stakeholder management is an important part of data jobs, but then also you don't want to answer how many users to the product leader every day. So, how does the stakeholder relationship change, like with AI?
That is a good question too. I think they're compatible. Those views are probably compatible in that asking how many users there are in a day is not a difficult problem to solve. I think the problem is like those people don't know where to go to answer that question, and so they go to you. And so just like giving an outlet for simple stuff can be like really powerful. I believe there's a product by Hex called Magic that can actually solve this for you today. I would recommend trying it out. And that's half the battle. It's like I'm a head of product. I'm not going to get to know your data warehouse. I don't care about your schema. I don't know what your database means. Like, I'm not going to go and find it. Even if I knew SQL, like even now as head of marketing, like I don't know where my data is anymore. And I bother my data engineer. Like, I don't want to, I feel bad, but I'm also not going to spend time trying to figure out what he built last week. Like, it's not going to happen. So there's like an element of like, let's just get the easy stuff out of the way. That's probably 50, 60% of the work. And then the rest becomes like, okay, let's have conversations with your team about what do you care about? What are your pain points? And how can we help solve that?
We'll do one more. Really good question.
Thanks for the panel. My question is going to level it up like one level, which is how do we not as data scientists compete in a world of AI, but how do companies think about competition and think about product development, how to serve customers better in a world of AI? For example, Dagster and Hex, how do you guys think about future experiences with AI? Yeah.
Mr. AI, I'd love to hear from you.
Mr. AI. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't, in a funny way, like a lot's changed since LLMs really working wasn't on our bingo card when we started the company, right? Like, I wasn't really tracking that. In fact, I actually started the company as a pretty deep ML skeptic. A bunch of my co-founders and I had actually kind of seen this like ML fetishism in the mid 2010s and kind of like appreciated how much value there was absent that. So in a funny way, like I almost feel like I had to make this like religious conversion to like, okay, this stuff actually works now. But what's interesting when I think about this is that our mission as a company hasn't really changed. And this isn't like to be, I assume a lot of people here know about Hex, it's gonna be some big Hex pitch, but like, and it's like our mission's the same. And a lot of what we're building is the same. And a lot of what we built is actually super useful in the era of AI. Like AI does really well with tools and context. It turns out we've built this like product that does a really good job with like having these different types of tools, writing SQL or no code or Python or whatever, and then having a lot of context that gets compounded in our platform. And so I think a lot about just like what's our asymmetric advantage? Like what can we go do for our customers that it's hard for other people to do that is just super valuable for them? And I think our AI team has done a really good job sort of focusing on those things. And like, I don't know if you think of Hex as a place where people just like write code, and then what if people write less code? I think about it as like people come to Hex to like accomplish a task and to do something. And I think the thing that gives me a lot of optimism is underneath all of this, there's just like an infinite demand for insight. Like companies don't have the number of data scientists or data analysts they have because there's like a certain number of questions that come in, and like each data scientist can answer a certain amount, and therefore we'll hire that many. There's just like, there's way more questions that could be answered day to day than like the data team could ever answer. And if you just make that like better and faster and more efficient and get rid of a lot of the overhead, like there's just going to be more to do. And I actually think there's this like rebound effect we might see where data teams might even be like bigger in the future because they're able to be even more impactful because AI is able to help them do that. So I don't know. I think about our product as like this Iron Man suit around data people. And that can just get better and better. And I think about this as like not in some ways a lot has changed, in some ways not a lot has changed. So
Yeah, I think what I love about the Hex approach to AI is it's very different. I love Hex, by the way. It's very different.
not the intent.
Not paid infomercial, but it's very different than like we've all seen the tool. We've all logged into. I won't name it because they might be a customer, but tools that love to say, "Hey, by the way, we have an AI thing," and it's like, I don't want this. I don't know what that is. It doesn't serve any purpose. Make it go away, and like you just can't because like the PM wants AI metrics.
Do you want to buy an AI upgrade?
Always want an AI
Want to
upgrade.
spend $8,000 a month to upgrade all of your seats to have the AI add-on?
Every single one needs to be AI. I can't write words if AI doesn't do it for me anymore. I need an AI summary of everything I've ever done in my life. And that's the lazy approach to competing with AI. I think the best companies that I've seen use AI, like Gong is another one that there's like embeds AI in a way like you don't even know you're using AI. That's the best kind of AI. It's not a click this button for an AI companion and it'll talk to you about your favorite color. Like, I don't know what that is, but like great products can use AI when they do great product things. Going out and saying we're going to have an AI button it just doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just gonna be the way software works. I think about this of like charging extra for AI. There's a lot of companies that have AI add-ons, and I'm always like, I think that's like having a cloud add-on in like 2015. Like it makes sense at the time, but you're kind of like, in retrospect, it's just like the way software works now. And like,
It's not how people buy. Like we have a SaaS product that I won't name, and we have
They call it Dagster Cloud.
yes. Plus, actually, we're Dagster Plus. We use a Dagster, we use a SaaS product internally and got 50, 60 seats on it. And they want us to pay, they always ask, you want to upgrade to AI? One for every seat. And it's like, no one at the company is making a decision that way based on AI. It's like, are you delivering value? And then we'll buy and renew and expand our contract. But to ask us to go and pay $50, $60 for a seat, it's just not going to happen.
I agree. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap there. We're gonna let everyone grab some pizza. Pedram and I will be around. So if you have some burning question you didn't get to ask, we'll be around to answer it. Thank you everyone for showing up. Week before the holidays. We're gonna do more of these next year, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for coming up. Thank you, Pedram.